Thank you for joining me for 5 More, our new podcast where we take just a little bit more time with the text. Without any further ado, let's jump into it. The second letter from Peter addresses how we are to grow in faith and that we should continue to grow in faith. While we know God's grace is sufficient, it cannot grow. Jesus came and died. His grace is complete. Our faith, rather, how much we trust in Him, can continue to grow. Because what is our walk but how much we trust in the one who saved us? And what is a greater measure of our trust than our life displayed as a living sacrifice to the one who saved us from the life we formerly lived? My favorite part is at the end of this chapter where Peter says, "Do you think we're just making up stories about Jesus? Do you think that all these tales we are telling you are purely fictitious? That Jesus did not transcend? That we did not see miracles with our own eyes? How can you, as a believer, think for 1 second that this is no longer true?" Peter says, "I have seen it with my own eyes. Why would I make this up?" In other words, he's trying to tell these people, this was literally just yesterday that I saw Jesus do miracles and get murdered for it. And Peter says, when the heavens opened up and the Spirit descended upon the Son of Man, he says, "I heard with my own ears a voice said, 'This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased.'" Peter, in his own lifetime, experienced the just ridiculous glory of God. All of these other people around him were alive, existed, their communities thrived and lived. But very few acknowledged the goodness of Jesus Christ. Very few people took the time to look at the Son of Man, to see past the Nazarene, to see past the carpenter, to see past the son of Joseph. And sadly, still today, people refuse to see Jesus for who He really is. And because we do not know Him, we cannot trust Him. The entire first chapter of this second letter from Peter is lost on most of us. The first words after the greeting are, "By His divine power, God has given us everything we need to live a godly life." God has given us every single thing we need to separate ourselves from the death that shackles us. He has sent His Son. We could not have sent Jesus. God alone sent Himself, His Son, into the world that we may live the life we were supposed to live. We may live a life free of death once again. And God planned to do so before the foundations of the universe. Why then are we still striving to be better? Why are we still struggling against this nature within us if we have everything we need to be good right now? What is this at war within us after all this time? If Peter is right, and if the accounts of the Bible are right, if Jesus is who He says He is, if Jesus is who Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John say He is and described Him to be, and if He came and accomplished what He set out to accomplish, why then are we still struggling within ourselves? Now, do not hear what I am not saying. We all fall short. But don't use that scripture as an excuse to never draw closer to God, to never be as Christ-like as you might. Our eternal goal is to be as close to Christ as we can ever be, to draw near to God so that He might draw near to us, that we may be perfect and complete and lacking nothing. This has been your host, Pastor Bertie Hart. Thank you so much for joining me once again for another episode of 5 More. Be sure to join me once again tomorrow morning, right after First 5. But until then, God bless you.